I'm Raisa Chantami of the Indonesia channel at the ASEAN Secretariat in Jakarta. Welcome to ASEAN Today, your weekly look at the dynamic Southeast Asia region. The United Nations approved a resolution seeking action on the Philippines' war on drugs. There was a fierce opposition from leaders in the Philippines, but 18 countries backed the resolution on July 11th, with 14 opposed. 15 others abstained. President Rodrigo Duterte launched the anti-narcotics campaign in 2016 to deal with a rampant drug problem. Police say more than 6,600 users have been killed, but activists say more than 27,000 people have died, many outside legal operations. Duterte's campaign is responsible for 75% of civilian deaths so far this year. A strong earthquake rocked the southern Philippines. A 5.8 magnitude earthquake struck Mindanao on July 13th, sending terrified residents into the streets. 51 people were hurt and numerous buildings were damaged. No tsunami warning was issued. The tremor originated 158 miles from Davao, a city of 1.6 million people. The ruling came that Joko Widodo is Indonesia's president once again. The country's constitutional court ruled on June 28th that the results of the April 17 elections are valid. A legal challenge claiming voter fraud was filed by former General Prabowo Subianto, loser to the man known as Jokowi for the second time. Widodo and Vice President Ma'ruf Amin will be sworn into office on October 20th. The two opponents had a reconciliation meeting aboard Jakarta's new subway, pledging to work for the country. Foreign investment in Malaysia is booming, and that's positive news to leaders in the new government. There are several reasons why. Malaysia has seen an unexpected surge in foreign direct investments this year, with approved FDI up more than 73% to $7 billion in the first quarter. It's the first comparison since new leaders came to power last May and comes on top of the strong FDI growth in 2018. Finance Minister Lim Guan Eng says the diversion of investments because of a U.S.-China trade fight helped boost foreign investments by close to 50% in 2018 and even higher growth so far this year. But he says the trade conflict benefits no one in the long run and that the FDI numbers also reflect his government's performance.
The foreign investors remain confident about the reforms that are carried out by the present government. They are confident about the economic prospects, despite the challenges, that we will still enjoy sustainable growth. And most important of all, I think they are also very confident in the political stability.
Lim said a majority of the record 21.7 billion ringgit FDI was through an 8.4 billion ringgit investment from Japan, 3.7 billion from Austria, and 2.8 billion from Hong Kong. Initial fears that the new government was not so open to investment from China have faded after the two countries agreed to revive the multi-billion-dollar East Coast Rail Link project.
In terms of investment, it has grown like 400% since 2 years ago. And it has shifted also from more traditional transaction-based services into the higher value in the area of data analytics and AI. So we are really encouraged.
Beijing-based IT company BeyondSoft has just opened its first office in Malaysia, drawn by the growing market, strategic location, and government backing.
We're trying to bring more new technology solutions and products to this new market. We customize them and import to the market here to enable the local industry digital transformation.
Malaysia also had a total of 6.7 million tourists so far in 2019, the most since 2016. More ASEAN Today is coming up shortly. Global leaders in the hot seat at the G20 summit. That's next. You're watching ASEAN Today. I'm Raisa Chantami in Jakarta. Global leaders and one from ASEAN gathered at the Group of 20 summit in Japan on June 28th and 29th. The focus was on the trade fight between China and the United States, the world's two biggest economies. G20 leaders offered their view on the impact on Southeast Asia and the world.
营造公平、公正、非歧视的市场环境，要促进技术、人员、信息等要素流动，维护全球产业链完整和活力，促进优势互补、合作共赢，不能关起门来搞发展，更不能人为干扰市场。
So I think what I heard the President Xi Jinping say is we have to work internationally on these issues, but also combining the strengths of countries.
미국은 지금 아메리카 퍼스트 그 정책을 가지고 미국 중심으로 나가고 있는데 이런 데 대해서는 국제사회가 그렇게 평가를 안 하고 있고 우려를 하고 있는 이런 상황이죠. 그러니까 그 반면에 이제 중국은 여러 가지 그 무한한 그 발전의 가능성을 보이고 있고, 근데 만약 중국과 미국이 이런 그 무역 분쟁을 계속 오래 끌어가면 이게 세계 경제에 분명히 부정적인 영향을 미치게 됩니다. 다행히 지금 이 트럼프 대통령하고 시진핑 주석께서 정상회담을 오사카에서 하게 돼 있으니까 빠른 시일 내에 참 큰 마음으로 다 이렇게 해결을 했으면 좋겠다 이런 생각을 합니다.
The commitment of China and France to the Paris Agreement, to a multilateral approach in relation to climate action and to climate action in itself through the measures and the commitments that both countries are making to address the threats of climate change. This engagement is for us a very important guarantee that we can also be successful in the future, and I'm extremely grateful for the opportunity of this meeting.
On 24th of June 2009, during the summit in Bangkok, the leaders of ASEAN adopted ASEAN outlook on Indo-Pacific. In addition to highlighting views and principles, the outlook also outline future cooperation by ASEAN and its partners.
Indonesia is the only ASEAN nation at the G20. More ASEAN Today is coming up shortly. Former ISIL recruits return home. That struggle next. This is ASEAN Today, coming to you from Jakarta, home of the ASEAN Secretariat. Former recruits to the extremist Middle East group ISIL are trying to transition back to normal life at home. But it's not easy, as ASEAN Today's Prisma Kinanti reports from Jakarta.
February Ramadan still remembers the day he packed his bags to leave for Syria almost 3 years ago. He was one out of his 26 family members still in Indonesia who decided to leave under the ISIL caliphate when he was just 22 years old.
Initially, I went to Syria because of my family, mainly to join my mother who left 1 year earlier than me. It took me a while to decide to go there, but after researching online, I felt compelled to go. My family thought they could make a lot of money there and have better living conditions, but that was just part of ISIL's propaganda.
All of their promises were left unfulfilled. And after spending almost 1 year living in a war zone, Ramdan and his family decided to make their way back home. The process was challenging, a transition Ramdan says he never thought would be possible. Hundreds of Indonesians are still stranded in Syria, many in refugee camps seeking protection. Legally, Indonesia has no reason to deny any of those returnees citizenship. Under the country's law, even if they swore loyalty to ISIL, they're still considered Indonesian citizens and have the right to come back at any time. The government, however, keeps a close eye on them for fear that they could spread extremist views once they're allowed back in.
I do agree that we really need to emphasize not only on the hard approach, like bring them to trial and then send them to prison, but more on how we can address the, let's say, the need of those returnees, the intention to going back to their home country like Indonesia. What should we do in terms of preparing not only the government but also the subject, which is the returnees itself and the society.
Ramdan now educates others about his story of hope and survival. He remains a positive example to those who have been threatened by ISIL's radical ideologies. And he still has big goals. Among them, publishing a book on his experience in Syria and attending university to make a better life for himself and his family. Risma Kinanti for ASEAN Today, Jakarta.
Here are several events on the ASEAN calendar. ASEAN will celebrate its 51st anniversary on August 8th here at the ASEAN Secretariat in Jakarta. The Irish boy band Westlife will be live in Singapore on August 10th. And Kuala Lumpur Fashion Week will run from August 21st to the 25th. Protecting Singapore's wildlife is a goal of government and animal lovers. ASEAN Today's Fauzul Azim reports on the battle between progress and nature there.
Singapore transformed itself into a bustling financial hub in just one generation. But it came at a cost. The island nation is quickly losing its natural habitats and wildlife. But thanks to government efforts in building parks and plant greenery, some animals have managed to adapt to city life.
To keep that balance between conservation and development is always a difficult task. It's getting where people are understanding it much better than they did 30 years ago, but there's still a great demand because our population continues to grow.
Land is scarce in the Lion City, and its population continues to grow. Tropical rainforest and wetlands are giving way for apartments and offices. It is an adapt-or-die situation for animals here. Decades of development has destroyed much of the country's natural habitats and the animals living in them. But surprisingly, some creatures native to Singapore have managed to live and thrive in an urban environment. The most famous are the smooth-coated otters. After decades of absence in Singapore, scientists now estimate there are about 70 otters on the island. They have been spotted splashing about in waterways, devouring fish in the Singapore River, even for the booming tourist marriage proposals.
Some of them have foregone their speciality and become more adaptable. And then there are others that still require those special habitats that are fast disappearing, and they need us to protect them in nature reserves and nature parks.
But not all wildlife are celebrated and loved by residents. Long-tailed macaques and snakes have been known to turn up in residential areas, a problem brought up by lawmakers. 1/3 of the country's native animals have disappeared in just 30 years. Those that have survived go on to live in developed areas because they are able to adapt. But even then, the number of fatal accidents have increased because of the animals' proximity to human civilization. Fauzul Azim for ASEAN Today.
We like hearing from you throughout the ASEAN region and the world. All of our episodes are posted on YouTube, so check us out there if you can't find us on your local TV channel. Then let us know what you're thinking about or what you want to see on the program. Email us at ASEANTodayTV@gmail.com, post something on our Facebook page, or tweet us at ASEANTodayTV. Singapore has maintained its position as a co-holder of the world's most powerful passport. The Henley Passport Index says Singapore boasts a visa procedure score of 189 out of 199, along with Japan. Among other ASEAN countries, Indonesia placed 75th. The index ranks the world's passports based on the number of countries that can be entered without a prior visa. And that's ASEAN Today for this week. I'm Raisa Chintami of the Indonesia channel in Jakarta. Terima kasih. Please join us again next time.